Welcome to the Conscious Radio Network's YouTube channel. Become enlightened, have fun, and tell all your friends and family to share with everyone they know. You can find us on Facebook and stay up to date on our Facebook group, or find us on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Our podcast can be found on Libsyn, iHeart, Spotify, Google Podcast, and more. Most of all, remember to go to our official website at consciousradionetwork.com for podcasts, posts, future shows, and scheduling. We also want to welcome our international audience. Don't stop now and join the community. Subscribe today.
This is the Conscious Radio Network. This is the Conscious Radio Network.
Good morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you might be on this spaceship we call Earth. Welcome to Conscious Radio Network's weekly podcast series, live today. Yes, it is. The Weekly Seance. I'm your host, Reverend Dr. Paul Meckes. If this is your first time tuning in to the YouTube channel, please click subscribe, like, share, and comment. Also, if you're eventually going to be listening to this on any of our podcast outlets down below, please be sure to follow us on any of those podcast outlets. We are also now officially, again, on Apple Podcast. We are on a couple other podcasts after searching the internet far and wide, which is Podchaser, Good Pods, and Podcast Republic. You can find us on those three as well. In about a few minutes, we are going to have a guest with us, Jen Hardy from the Hardy Mom podcast. She will be chiming in from the Space Coast of Florida to kind of discuss what's going on in the podcast outlet, what in the podcast industry, everything that's going on out there. We all have our challenges. I have challenges. But before she does, this show is titled "Where Does the Future Take Us?" Where does it take this show, and where are we going? So, for those who are chiming in and listening to us, we are a little early, two hours early. We would normally be on at 8 o'clock, but we're not. I had to get this done early because I've got a lot to do this evening, and tomorrow is going to be a very long day, so I need to get a head start. So I'm going to jump into it. I need to throw out this information for all of those. We only have two more live broadcasts to do. It would be this one and next Monday. So tune in next Monday. We will have on Gloria Haas. We will be talking about how to raise your vibrational energy. connecting with the higher self, raise your energy to where you will be able to um, have a much brighter life, a better direction. So, so we will be phasing out the live broadcasts. This one is obviously live. If you chime in at 8 o'clock, you can watch this again, but won't be live, unfortunately. But next week, next Monday at 8 o'clock is our last live one. So do chime in for that. Starting May 1st, you probably saw that during our opening for this show. We'll also share that also with the opening of next week's show as well. It's all over the social networks and our pages. That is season 15. Season 15 will be starting officially Monday, May 1st at 9 o'clock. Mondays and Fridays, so that's another big change. Starting May 1st, our shows will broadcast YouTube premiere on Mondays at 9 and at Fridays at 9 in YouTube premiere format. So they are pre-recorded, but you can still utilize the live chat. You can go in, providing that the guest has, because all the guests are aware that they can come in and answer any questions that anybody might have, as well as possibly myself. On Fridays, yes, I will moderate those shows, so you guys can all ask any questions that you may have. Subscribers, be sure to set your notifications, because our analytics are not giving us the right information. We don't know when our prime time is. So, but right now we can only guess. That's what notifications are for. So there we go. So just to give you an idea how we're structuring Conscious Radio Network at this point in time, starting May 1st, is we obviously have it we now are setting it up into seasons. So we have 6 episodes per season, with 1 week of downtime or break. So there will be after each season, there'll be 1 week that you won't see anything. You can just go back and listen to some old shows, and then wait for the week after that, and we'll be in the next season. So, however, we won't have any break between these next 2 shows and running into season 15. So technically we're in season 14 right now, but there's only 2 episodes. It's this one and next one. I wanted to launch the season 15 on the 1st of a month, and coincidentally, I don't believe in coincidence, but synchronistically, it happened on May 1st. Cool. I was like, I'm running with that. So, again, officially, we are on Apple Podcast, Libsyn, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Amazon Music, Google Podcast, TuneIn Radio, or TuneIn Podcast. I think Amazon still owns that. I'm not sure. Podchaser, Podcast Republic, Good Pods. I don't think I left anything out, but oh well. Also, you can go check out the Rumble channel. You can go to Conscious Radio Network. There we go. Down below, that channel, you'll find on there some links to that. That is our uncensored material. We have some stuff on there that might get us kicked off of certain networks, especially this one. But that's where we ask questions. We ask questions that, legitimate questions. Things that make you go, that's interesting. I got to look into that more. So we've had a couple guests on there. Bart Sabril or Bart Sabrell, talking about the Apollo 11 mission. That was cool. Definitely go check that out. Now let's see. So we are on most podcast platforms. I also wanted to give this Easter egg out to everybody. We're past Easter, but let's call it an Easter egg. For any of those that will be eventually listening to this on any of the audio platforms, if you go to the description and you expand the description, you'll see also watch this on the YouTube channel. Well, the YouTube channel text is hyperlinked. So if you click on that, it will take you to that particular video or video broadcast from the YouTube channel. There's also quite a few other hyperlinks as well that you can click on to look for all of our other podcast platforms, and the usually the name of the guest that's in the description. You can click on that. Usually the first time their name appears in the description, you can click on that, and it will take you to their website, so you can find out more information about that particular guest. Let's see. Oh, yes. So May 1st, starting May 1st, our first show of season 15. This will be interesting. We actually recorded the show yesterday. So our first guest for season 15 will be Dr. Michael Dennin. You've seen him. He probably looks quite familiar to you. If you aren't familiar with him, I asked him on the show yesterday. I was like, "Hey, how many shows of Ancient Aliens have you been on? How many seasons?" He's like, "Every single one." So he is their go-to critic, scientific physicist critic that they like to use on the show. And I tell you what, he's very down to earth. He's very scientific. He's stay tuned May 1st. You'll hear all about it. But that show is about free will and consciousness, as he's writing a new book. He has a book out, but he's coming out shortly with another book called I'm not sure if it's called Free Will and Consciousness, but it is about free will, consciousness, spirituality. What is free will? What is consciousness? So this was a cool show for him to be on. I'm honored that he took time out to be with us to go over his scientific research on consciousness. And he will probably be back on the show to share some stuff about the new book. We'll also have on that same week, that Friday, we will have on Nancy Robbins, Accomplishing Your Soul Mission with etheric chakra sprays. Then we will have on Abigail White. She is a certified registered nurse and certified professional medical intuitive. We'll also have Victoria Anderson back on. We will be talking about time portals. That is going to be cool. Then we have Manpreet Bawa, the mind architect. He will be talking about meditation. How do we get away from this theater around us that is this illusion, and get more in contact with our higher selves, and kind of be in the moment. And the title of that show is This Moment. And the last show of season 15, we will have on Kelly Sullivan Walden. She is the author of many books, and hold on, let me go back here. Whoa, oh, wait, come on, what's going on? Here we go. All right, bring it back.
Hey, how's it going? Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Right on. How's it going, Paul?
Yeah, pretty good.
Good.
All right. So yeah, I was just getting ready to finish up explaining people, our guests lined up for season 15. Kelly Sullivan Walden will be on talking about the forced method to stop negative thought loops. Oh yeah, we're all guilty of that.
Yeah. I definitely need to listen to that one. That sounds like a good one.
Yeah, she's been on, I guess, Dr. Oz and Oprah, I think, a bunch of other programs and stuff
Oh,
like that.
wow. That's
But, she's
awesome.
the dream doctor.
Okay.
So, a good dream interpreter. So, but so welcome back to the show, Jen. How you doing?
Thank you. I'm doing fantastic. I'm so glad to be here. When you were on mine, you said like gold gems all over the
Yeah.
place. So I love talking to you. This is great.
Awesome. So this part of the show, this half of the show, I wanted to kind of talk about the industry. There's been, I've been hearing, some other podcasters have been saying, oh, this is going to be a rough year for podcasting. This is going to be, because I've also noticed that certain analytics are acting weird as far as like the YouTube channel and all these other different platforms and stuff like that. And I'm like, what's going on here? So for your show, The Hardy Mom, explain to the audience your show.
So actually, I have pivoted my show a little bit, and we could talk about that too, because it's made a big change in my numbers. So it was doing Hardy Mom for moms with chronic illness, and then I went to a little thing called Podfest where we originally met last May. And I was thinking, I have been talking about this for 8 years, helping moms with chronic illness, doing all these things. But what happens is when I introduce myself, I'm constantly saying, I'm a mom with all these illnesses. I'm a mom who's chronically ill. And after 8 years of doing that, it was really wearing on me. And so I was thinking, what can I do where I'm still helping people in some capacity, but maybe not where I'm consistently reinforcing with words how sick I am, because I really feel like, when we consistently say, I am bad, I'm bad, I'm bad, I'm bad, you become what you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
And so I thought I've got to stop that. And so while I was there, I was looking around trying to figure out what is a component of women that hasn't been really focused on. And podcasting women over 50 is a thing. And women in general over 50, I feel like, because I'm over 50 and there's a shift once you hit this age, people see you differently. I don't know, like it's really interesting. And I thought that might be kind of neat to explore. So that's what I've been doing now. I've been doing Fabulous Over 50. And so all my old interviews, everything is still there because that all really pertains talking about, because you could get sick. All the things that talked about relationships, even raising kids, because a lot of moms now, I mean, I'm a mom over 50. I have young kids or people are raising their grandkids now. And it's a whole new ball game out there. And so that's what I've been doing. And it's been really, really interesting. And actually, Julia Louis-Dreyfus just started a podcast about women over 70. And so I think I got the right time.
Yeah, the amount of podcasts that are out there, there's so many subjects, there's so many topics out there, and I mean, I never, when I first started this, I didn't know what to call it. I was like, at first everything started off paranormal, working in a paranormal metaphysical field. I'm going, okay, I got to do something paranormal and talk about science, the science of it. What is it? And just connect with people that might be experiencing stuff. But then it evolved into talking about everything metaphysics, healing, holistic medicine, everything. It just everything about the human condition, consciousness, everything. And it's like, as podcasters, what I like about this industry is none of us are competing with anybody. We have our own niche. We have our own topics. We have our own energy. And we don't have to worry about somebody competing against us, like, like the grocery store across the street when you own a Jiffy Mart on the other side, It's like-
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And even the people that have a podcast similar to ours, we can still work together
yeah.
without worrying for the most part. I personally have never met a podcaster that I felt was, out to take my audience or somebody else's at all. I don't know. It seems to be an interesting dynamic of a bunch of people that enjoy doing creative things, but want to help each other get to the next place. And that's one of the things I would just love about podcasting in general.
Yeah.
Is that we can all work. And like you and me, we do two very different things, but we can still come together and collaborate. And I think that just says a lot about, how it is, how the space is in general.
Yeah, and that was the very first thing that I got from the Podfest last year was collaborating with other podcasters, being on their show, and then me being on their show, and then them being on my show, and I continuously do it. And crazy enough, too, it's a lot of the guests that have booked with me, through social media or through publicists or whoever out there, and stuff, then I start to realize they have their own podcast too. So yeah, it's a win-win situation, and we just exchange back and forth. I'm on theirs, yeah, and it's cool. It's really fun. It's like going to parties.
Yeah, and then if you're listening, then you can get the perspective of all kinds of different people, which I think is really nice too. I like doing solo episodes of my show, but you can only listen to me, in my opinion, for so often. I don't know. I think it's good to get somebody else, like when you came on, and my focus then was moms, and you said, I'm not a dad, but you came on and shared some amazing things that the women really got a lot out of what you said about relationships and everything. And so I think, yeah, as long as if I'm interested, I figure whoever's listening to my show is going to be interested too. That's how I look at it.
Yeah, it's a lot of food for thought, and there's guests. I wouldn't say there's audiences out there that kind of might be in a rut. They just they're having a bad day, they're having a bad week, they're having a bad life. They don't know where they are, and we like to change things up. We want to get people that are experiencing what everybody else is experiencing. That bad day, from a physical element to alcoholism or addiction to of people that went through that point in their life and sharing how they got out of it. Because I feel podcasting and being a podcaster or listening to podcast is therapy.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, I don't like to listen to my own shows, but I listen to a lot of podcasts.
Yeah, I do too. And it's interesting. It is because you get so many different perspectives about different things. And even if you don't agree with someone's perspective, it makes you think about something in a different way than you would have on your own.
Yeah.
And so that opens the door, or it might even make you understand something that you didn't think you agreed with. And now you do, which I like too.
True. What are your favorite podcasts?
Oh, that's a good question. It kind of depends on my mood, I guess.
Yeah.
I like to listen to science podcasts with my kids because I love science and I'm trying to get them to learn things. I am a Libsyn diehard fan, so I listen to The Feed every other week because they just tell everything that's happening in podcasting, not just their own things, but for podcasting information. I love Dave Jackson and his School of Podcasting things. I tend to, in my downtime, I don't know, for some reason I feel guilty about just relaxing a lot. And so a lot of what would be downtime for other people is actually learning about other things.
Yeah.
So a lot of my podcast listening, I guess, now that you asked me the question, is about learning about science and podcasting, basically.
Yeah.
So what about you? What are some of your favorites?
I like to listen to Things They Don't Want You to Know. That's an interesting show. Things They Don't Want You to Know, and there's another one. There's another one similar to that. I forgot the name of it. That one I'll listen to if I'm not listening to iHeartRadio and the live AM feeds and stuff like that. But that's my favorite one because they'll pick up some like weird conspiracy type ones out there, or maybe not conspiracy, but they'll talk about like true crime, something weird that may have happened, and they'll share that. Weird history, strange history. And there's the other one. Things you should know, I think is the name of the other one.
Okay.
But I think, those I think are through iHeartRadio, but I think they're also on Apple Podcast too.
Yeah, I'll have to check that out. Those sound interesting because they would be I feel like I'd be learning something in a little bit, right? So I could,
yeah. I stumbled upon it when I think was it about a year ago. I think I stumbled upon it, but it's a good show. It's people think, oh, yeah, a conspiracy theorist. I'm like, not all of it is. It's and a lot of it's not really conspiracy because they actually tell you the proof. They actually throw everything out on the table and go, here it is. What do you think?
I like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and it's interesting because a lot of things that people thought were conspiracy theories, they find out that they're not really conspiracy theories, and some of them are just interesting to dive into and think, how could someone think that,
Yeah.
So it's good to have the information of how they got to that point.
Yeah. And some of them, there's some shows that, some episodes are urban legends. So like they'll pull some of these old urban legends out of the box and go, oh, we're going to talk about this today. And those are fun to listen to.
Yeah, that sounds really good. I like it.
That might be a good show to do, is like some of these old cliches that we use, or these, things that we always say, like it's raining cats and dogs. Where did that come from? How did we start using that? And why cats and dogs?
Right?
Why not cows and horses?
That's interesting.
So maybe I'll do some research on that one.
That would be really interesting. And fairy tales, why are fairy tales so horribly dark?
Oh, I know.
So I read them to my first, because I have older kids and then I have younger kids, like this two completely different generations. And the older kids, I read them all the standard fairy tales or whatever. But as I read them, I was thinking, this is dark. And then when you read the originals, like we're children, the Pied Piper is a horrible story.
Yeah.
So when I was looking for things to read to my younger ones, I thought, I don't think we need to touch on these things. People are eating children, I don't even know where.
Yeah. Where did like the Ring Around, and then the songs like Ring Around the Rosie, Pockets Full of Posy, and then Brothers Grimm. It just, they are really, really.
And the basket in the tree. What is the thing to sing your kids to sleep about the basket in the tree and it falls down? And I don't know. It's just now I can't think of that song. Oh, Rockabye Baby on the treetop.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, what? Yeah.
When the bough breaks, the cradle will fall. What? Why are we singing that to children? I don't know. That's not comforting.
I think today we're starting to realize the things that we have done, and why is it now that we're starting to realize that these nursery rhymes and these songs and stuff like that are just really creepy.
Yeah.
Are we now actually starting to wake up? Are we starting to shift? Is there a shift going on that we're kind of going, okay, that was totally off. I don't know. I don't know. As a parent, I think it's been interesting because, I still have an 11-year-old and I've been doing this for almost 34 years now. That's just crazy. And there has definitely been a shift, I think, in parents getting gentler. And I think there's a lot to be said for that. Now, I think we maybe have gone a little too far in the whole participation trophy and, all that, like somewhere in the middle. But I think it is really good, I think, to be taking care of young humans in a gentler way. And just the way I think about how I talk to my younger kids and how I did talk to my older ones, it's
there has been a huge shift, but I think in society in general, right? We've really bounded way away from how we used to think about everything. Maybe
Yeah.
too fast, in that I think there's a little bit of fallout happening because, people can't really keep up with it. I don't know. Which is also an interesting discussion of, you know. But
Yeah.
I don't want to, but it doesn't need to get political, but just in general, with just the general way people are,
Yeah.
and I think it's nice to be a little more gentle.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Being a little bit more gentle, but then at the same time is teaching the morals and of the responsibility. I mean, all you do is I see it on the news, or I see a version of something or the outcome of something on the news going, why did they do that? What I mean, it seems like you're seeing more children being locked up in jail for crimes of more now than ever. It's like
Yeah.
it seems like that coddling and that kind of much more the gentleness is kind of going in the wrong direction. So to
Yeah.
speak.
Well, and that's what I think. Everything happens so fast. All these changes in all kinds of different things
Yeah.
are happening. Yeah. So yeah, now we have police officers in schools, right? Taking kids to jail for things that they never would have gone to jail for. I know I live in Florida. We have this thing called the Baker Act, and they can take your child
Mm.
against your child's will, but against the parent's will. And the parent doesn't know where the child is for 3 days. So, I mean, yeah. So we have the gentleness on one side. And then we do, like you're saying, I agree. We have this complete opposite of that on the other side,
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
somewhere we need to meet in the middle. Definitely.
Have you noticed that it also seems like the establishment is to blame too? That it's like, well, you can't scold your children. You can't touch your children. Your children can have more power than you. They can turn you into the cops or call the cops on you. And it's almost as though there's some parents out there that are afraid to
They
do
absolutely
anything.
are afraid. Yeah. It's interesting, because I think there's a lot to be said for having kids having a way to get help when they're legitimately needing help. That's
Yeah.
absolutely needs to happen. But yeah, this whole, I don't know, it was interesting back in the day. In 1984, I was in middle school and I had a teacher that was really into the book 1984. And so we did this thing. It was me and this very small group. And I mean, methodically over a semester went through this one book, right? But I remember in there, it talks about they encourage children to turn in their parents.
Whoa.
And I remember thinking, well, that's crazy. What kid would ever turn in their parents? And I don't know. I feel like,
Wow.
I don't know. Things do seem a little 1984-ish in some ways to me.
Yeah, yeah, and
So,
especially within the last year or so when, you had the establishment going after parents for just
yeah,
showing up at school board meetings. It's like,
exactly.
what? It's like,
Yeah.
what is going on?
Yeah. Well,
Um,
and it was funny. I was actually just talking to somebody about that. The difference between boycotting and canceling. Like if my family chooses not to participate in a certain thing because we believe that we don't want to do it, that's one thing, right? Because of whatever. But this whole cancel thing, where it's beyond the parenting, right? Where if you say the wrong thing, or maybe you did 30 years ago, and you now very clearly know you should have never said that. I mean,
yeah.
obviously, because people change over 30 years, and then everything that you had is destroyed. you know
Mm,
I think
yeah.
it's a little worrisome for a lot of people too, is that you have to watch everything you say. And I mean, like, for me, I would never say something racist in my whole life. I would never put people down or say the kinds of words that would make that happen. Thank God that was nothing I ever did. um but then there's other things. I don't know. I feel like I censor myself a lot
Mm.
more than I would have in the past, just for everything, even though those aren't places I would go. I don't know about you. I don't know if you feel the same way, but
Yeah, I feel the same way. I mean, there's no way I would make comments, to anybody, I wouldn't even do that behind their back. I mean, let alone, as podcasters too, it's like we got to be careful what we say.
Yeah.
And whether it's live or recording, you got to edit it out. The point is, it happened.
Right.
And I'm very careful with what I say, and even my uncensored material on the Rumble channel, same way. I censor certain thoughts, and even though I might be thinking of something, I don't even think about even going down any of the the racist routes and saying certain words and stuff like that. And I tell a lot of the guests too, even for that channel, be careful what you say. Even though we're recorded, just be careful.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, because it's scary. And politics, my mom was a Democrat, my dad was a Republican, and they were very involved in politics. And we had people from all different ideological views over.
yeah.
My parents would have parties all the time, and they would be discussing all these things, and no one got angry or heated. They would just have these incredible intellectual conversations. And I miss that. And I feel like we can't have that anymore. I try to talk to people that have a different viewpoint than I do, because I enjoy hearing, if you have something that's totally polar opposite of what I believe, I want to know what got you there, right? Because not you may change my mind, it's possible, but also I want to be able to empathize with you more and understand humans in general more. But I feel like even those conversations, when both parties are willing to have them, are almost taboo. Even
Yeah.
outside
Yeah.
of the confines of your own house, you can't. I don't know. And the people that do seem to have them are the ones that are very angry and making both sides look really bad.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. That's just how it
Yeah.
seems to me. And I think it's
Seems like,
sad.
yeah, it seems like those days are gone. It's like we can't sit down we can't sit down and talk about it regardless of our views.
Yeah. Like
Whether
there was
you're
somebody.
yeah,
Oh, sorry.
yeah, whether you're a left or a right or Republican or Democrat or Christian or Buddhist, or it's like now everything is politicized. Everything, it just, I don't know. It seems like it's been purposely orchestrated to separate everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. There's a show, and I don't know what it's on, some streaming thing. It's called The Swamp. And
Yeah.
it's very interesting because it's a political guy. I don't even know his name, in Florida. And he's filming, and he's trying to go across the aisle and get Democrats and Republicans to work together. And the whole point of it is to explain that hatred is actually pays. To get people to hate pays is the thing. And how there's some people that are trying to make it stop, but it's a force that's gotten so large now, it's really hard.
Yeah.
And that was pretty eye-opening. I could only watch about half of it, and I was so sick to my stomach. I couldn't watch the rest. But it was eye-opening to see what's going on out there. And I just think it's sad because, this younger generation is growing up thinking, oh, you have to be one side or the other. And I keep my street is all one way except one person. And it's really sad what happens watching everyone else and her and how they relate. And I keep telling my kids, I just want to make a flag, and it's the human flag. We're just going to fly that because we're all human. And I think at some point we need to get back to that, where we can just say, you're human. It doesn't matter whether you believe this or I believe this, because we can find another level to connect on. It doesn't have to be that political level or that religious level. And we can still have good, deep conversations,
Yeah. And it's happened so quickly. This separation happened so quickly. And I believe most of it happened because of, the pandemic. Even still today, I still know families out there that will no longer talk to each other because, that member, went and had it done and, went and got this, went and got that, but nobody else did. It's like those who did and those who didn't.
Right.
And now they won't even talk to each other. It's like, that's sad. They won't,
It is sad. It's just, yeah. And you'd think that something like that would make us come together as people and join together. But somehow Yeah,
Yeah.
it put this huge division. And even like masks, it was interesting because at the beginning of the pandemic, I was ordering masks before it was even in the United States because of my health stuff.
Yeah.
So that if there was a time when I wasn't feeling well, I could wear them, because in the chronic illness community, masks were a thing before. You know,
Mhm.
like in Japan, 70% of people were wearing masks before the pandemic. And so I had ordered them just as it was coming. And now people will get angry when people are wearing masks. And I'll try to explain to them, it might not have anything to do with the pandemic, though. And even if it does it matter? If someone wants to do that, it shouldn't matter. But what if they have cancer, they're on treatment or whatever? They couldn't be out in public without that.
Yeah.
So it's not a political statement. It's just a health concern. And they
Yeah.
want to live for another, few years. And, and how I feel about masks in general for the that's neither here nor there. But I just think, I don't know, it gets back to the human thing, I think, though.
Yeah.
Just have compassion on humanity.
Yeah. Compassion and being of service to your fellow human being.
Exactly.
And when it came, and when I was living in Shanghai for about a year back in 2014, between 2015 and 2016. I wouldn't say I wore a mask all the time, but over there you have to wear a mask because the smog is so bad. There were mornings you'd wake up and you're taking the bus to work and it's like you couldn't see 10 feet in front of you.
Wow.
It's like, man. So I kind of got used to it about 5 years prior. So
that's helpful. Yeah.
Yeah. And some of their masks actually have like built-in charcoal filters and all kinds of crazy stuff and all stylish.
Well, it was interesting because I had bought some from England, and they're the ones actually that the English military wear. They're cloth, but they have a carbon filter on the side. And then people wouldn't let me wear them here because they said, oh, that has a filter, it makes it dangerous. And I'm like, but actually it is more filtering.
Wow.
But you can't explain. I don't know. It's fun times. I don't know, and then I don't know about you, but like when I watch the news and they'll say, oh, there's this other disease, there was just another one, I don't know, Africa or whatever, like 3 people have this disease in the whole world. And I think, oh my goodness, please don't let this whole thing start over.
I know. Yeah. And I forget what the next one is supposed to be. I mean, I think they got it planned. They were even calling out the name or something. I forget I forget the name of it. It's got something to do with like the Ebola or something. But they were talking about
that. Would make sense.
Like, but I'm not sure if I asked this or not. So explain. So I got your website on the bottom. So for those who are going to be listening to this later, you can go to www.partymom.com.
Yep, that'll work.
And that's your podcast. And so explain a little bit about did I already ask that? I think I did.
You did. About what I'm doing? Yeah. And I've changed a little bit, but still trying to help women, just in a different way.
Yeah. And also what I'm doing is too, I've let the audience know that we only have one more show. Since this one's coming close to an end, I'm keeping our shows down to just below an hour, just below. Because people see an hour or more, they're like, I don't want to listen to that. Get bored. But doing the whole season thing, do the season in episodes, doing it the traditional way. I don't know why I didn't do it before, but decided to do that. And season 15 starting on May 1st.
That's exciting.
And I was kind of tossed up. I was like, well, how many episodes should I have in a season? I'm like, I don't know. So I Googled it, and there's like anywhere between 6 and 13. I'm like, 13's a lot. So I was like, let me keep it small because I wanted to have breaks in between. And first it was, 6 episodes and 2 weeks of break. And then it ended up going, because it was still only going to be one show a week. But then I started getting all these bookings. It's like, oh, crap. Now I'm like, I'm doing all these recordings, but now I'm booked all the way out till the winter time.
That's great though.
for the shows to actually premiere. And
Right.
I don't want our guests waiting that long to see their show. So I'm like, okay, let me do 2. Mondays and Fridays, 2 a week. So now it kind of crammed everything together. Instead of 2 weeks of break, it's going to be 1 week of break.
That's a lot of work, Paul.
It
is a lot of work.
It is. And that's why I'm like, I can't. The live stuff, and that's why I went on earlier today. Next week will be the last live. That's going to still be at 8 o'clock. But doing this live on Mondays at 8 o'clock, it's like I got to wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, 4 hours of sleep. No.
3 o'clock is really early.
Are
you
really
naturally
early.
a morning person?
I've become a naturally early. Yeah, naturally. Yeah. For over the course of probably the last 7-8 years, waking up that early, it gets to you. Even on my days off, I'll wake up before the sun comes up. I'm like, really? Oh, go back to bed.
Yeah, I'm not. It's funny. Even when I had a job, I went to school. My parents would always say, you'll get used to it one day. And I never did. I don't know. I had a swing shift job. That was my perfect job.
Yeah.
Well, having my own business is my perfect job. But if I have to go, then I commend you for that. I really do.
Yeah, thank you. It's it just got to the point where I'm like, next week will be my last stay awake later, do the show. And I'm not sure if anybody notices this on the videos or any of my past ones. There's some shows I look pretty tired. It's like, man, it's like sometimes I just lose my thought really quick and don't know what to say, or looks like I'm falling asleep at the mic. So I'm like, that's not a good show. So you got to have some pep during the show. And I don't want to drink coffee beforehand, or else I'll never go to sleep. So,
no, you just go to work. Yeah, still awake. That would be good.
Yeah. So, but I also wanted to thank you for some of the tools that you helped me with during the evolution of my podcast, as far as the scheduling program, the Tidy Cal and stuff like that. I use that like, wow.
I know. And some people don't like it, but I think, for $29 forever, I can grow to like a lot of things.
Yeah.
It fits in my budget too, but it's not bad, and the Canva and all of it. Yeah. I don't know how people, it makes life a lot easier.
Yeah. It's your secretary. As long as you make it crystal clear for the guests that want to that need to utilize it to schedule. I think I sent you did I send you a copy of my press kit that I usually send all the guests?
Oh, I don't think so. I'd like that though.
I built it up, and there's a particular page specifically for scheduling and so it teaches the guest how to use just
that's nice
with pictures and stuff of how to utilize it and stuff. Because I've had some people go, what do I do? I'm like, go to this site, and they've never used anything like that before. So, but
it's so much easier than texting back and forth. And can you do next Monday at 2? No, but I got next Monday at 3. Can you do next Thursday? No, yeah.
Yeah, that gets really. And there's times that when I'm at work, it's like I can't text back and forth. It's like, you'll be on there all day.
Yeah.
So
well, good. I'm glad they've worked out.
So, what do you have as a takeaway for our audience tonight?
What do I have as a takeaway? Oh, that's a good question. Something that I actually interviewed somebody. Her name is Julie Manano. She has like 1 million Instagram followers, and she has a relationship thing. And one of the things that she talks about, because culturally with us, and this doesn't really have to do with what we were just talking about, but when we feel a certain way, we get upset, or we get agitated, we get mad, or we're grieving, or whatever. In our culture, we tend to tell people, just stop it, right? Like, turn it off, make it stop, knock it off, walk away, whatever. And then what happens is you kind of stuff that emotion down, and you don't get, if you don't get it out, it's still inside somewhere. Mm-hmm. And then you keep carrying that garbage around with you. And the way she explains things is that when you feel something, to let yourself feel it, like really let yourself feel it. Sit back, think about, where do you feel it in your body? I mean, the whole thing. Take your 20 minutes and really feel it if it's a strong thing, which is really the opposite of what we're told a lot of times. And so I've been trying to do that in my life, and we just got some pretty bad news over the last week, and I before would have just kind of shoved all my feelings that I had that went along with that. And so instead, I just gave myself a few days to really feel the things. And let me tell you, Paul, it's making a big difference because I feel like I'm working through it so much faster, and I'm going to be able to handle it so much better than if I just shoved it down, pretended like it wasn't there, and then I would explode at people about a month from now or 6 months from now, and then be really upset about something I don't know. So I would say, if you're having feelings, which I mean everyone does at some point, try that instead of the fighting it. Try just, give yourself 20 minutes or a day if it's a big thing, and let yourself feel it and feel where it is in your body and feel how it's affecting you. And then you can get through it so much better. And that's something that I'm working on in my own life. And I just think it's been really good for me and my family. So that would be my thing for right now.
Cool. Have you reached out to that past guest I had, Tom Palladino, with the scalar light wave energy?
No, I haven't.
He's doing that 15-day free trial.
Oh, I'll have to check that out.
That is interesting.
Okay.
That is interesting. I'll send you some more information, or all the
I would love that
on that on the channel there. Some of his contact information. You sign up, you send him your picture, and he'll do that. He'll do that session for 15 days. I felt something. I was like, whoa, restful sleep. It's like all this energy during the day. I just felt it. Well,
that sounds wonderful.
And I don't. It's definitely, at first I thought it was like a placebo. I'm going, oh yeah, because I'm thinking about it. It's like, oh, I feel better. There's days that were like, forgot all about it. I'm like, what day am I on? It's like, before you know it was over with. I'm like, wow.
Well, that would be great.
It helps with all different things. And you don't have to tell them anything. The energy, and that's the energy that the universe is made up of. Everything is made up of this energy. And it's used as a way to heal the body.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
That sounds fantastic.
Cool. Well, it's the end of another show.
Well, thank you so much for having me on here. I love being on your show. I think what you're doing is fantastic. So
thank you. Thank you. And it's an honor to have you on. And
Thank
let me know the next time there's a podcast during a week, or a podfest during a weekend.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, we got to have a meetup during the weekend so we can get you down there, because we've got a fantastic group of people. So you need to join us.
Awesome.
That sounds great.
Cool. Thank you, Jen, once again. Namaste, my friend. Blessings.
Thank you.
And you have yourself a wonderful, wonderful evening. And for all of those listeners and viewers out there, thank you for watching the weekly seance or listening. And until next week, we will see you then.